For the past few weeks, I have been, I guess, slightly addicted to this game called Warframe. If I'm not working or out and about enjoying the warm Scottish weather that for some reason people are bitching about, if I'm not doing either of those things, the chances are you'll likely find me in my house playing Warframe. I've always been aware of the name, but that was all I knew. But as of recent, it seems that YouTube coverage for this game took a real boost, and friends of mine had started playing the game, so I felt enough was enough. And now here we are several weeks later, and I have this different perspective on not just Warframe, but certain notes and lessons that could be taken all the way to the AAA market. Warframe is a game that I would recommend to anybody because there is no cost to entry. When we pay full price for a newly released game, there is always that nagging concern in the back of our heads that bother us, like what if the game's not fully optimized, or what if it's got embarrassing glitches, what if there's not enough content to justify the price, what if the servers are complete trash, and so on. At least with Warframe, you're not putting any sacrifice forward to experience what the game has to offer. But with that said, Warframe, I'm sure, is not everyone's cup of tea. I hate to be that guy to tell you what you've probably heard 1,000 times, but Warframe is like Destiny. So if you never liked Destiny, why would you perhaps linger to Warframe? The concept for both games is the same. You progress through these missions on different planets, but the gameplay and mechanics are night and day. Firstly, the movement system is very fast, and even that is an understatement. If you combine certain movesets with good timing, you can really fly across the map. It's always appreciated when the players are given the freedom to move at their own pace. It feels satisfying even when you have to travel a fair distance to your objective. It allows players to flex their muscles a little bit. And this variety of choice is carried over to approaching combat. You can play your standard run and gun, you can mix it up with some stealth, do a bit of exploration and find some loot, or you could just play like a coward and just avoid enemies at all times. Unless of course your objective is to kill a certain amount of enemies before you get an escort. However, I must recommend that you have some friends to grab with you through this experience. I mean, it does go without saying that every game is better with friends, but Warframe, I feel like it's not necessarily a recommendation, it's a requirement. In a game where it is basically a shooting gallery, one after the other, you're going to need a buddy or two to make you encouraged to play for longer periods of time. There are from time to time these missions that are quite difficult to complete if you play solo. If you play solo, you do have the option to choose whether or not you want to be joined up by 3 other randomers or just by yourself. And on certain levels, in particular the capture zone missions, will be difficult unless you and the randoms can somehow read each other's thoughts through the screen. But it's clear to me that the game is so much more fun when you do have friends. You can just have a friend in to have a good old social chat that makes the game feel more chilled out. I feel like 90% of the time when I play with Dan, we're just talking trash to one another. It's like we didn't even know we were playing a video game together. And on top of that, it does get boring faster if you do play by yourself. I personally could only last about maybe half an hour or 45 minutes if I do. And it leads me on to the next question if you haven't ever played Warframe. Does it feel quite grindy? Like any other game that is a loot fest, yes, it will after a while. Like I said, depending on how many people you're playing with. The game, however, does have a little reminder in the bottom left corner to inform you that you should take a break soon because you've been playing this for about an hour. I've seen these other little social messages that pop up in other games like Battlefield 1 for example. But for me, who likes to translate these kind of notifications into something a bit more straightforward, I think Warframe does a much smoother job. Battlefield 1 has those 3 words that no other human being wants to hear. Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. And Warframe says something more like this.
Do something productive with your life. Get off the couch. Go outside. Make love to a woman.
Also, if you want to avoid spending money on the game, most of the new weapons and other pieces of gear that you will purchase as you rank up will have to go through a crafting process. New primary weapons and secondary weapons will take 24 real-time hours until you can actually use the thing. However, you can rush it if you want to spend a little bit of platinum. But I do remember my very first real grind I had to get one of those new weapons I wanted. I reached enough credits, I had all the materials I needed, I purchased it, and then the game just looked straight in my face and said, wait 24 hours please. I was pissed. While the game does have good tutorials on how to play the game, the customization, the mods and upgrades however, are somewhat left up to you to figure out. Everything is pretty straightforward in a way now that I've worked my way around it, but in particular the mods don't essentially feel like they have any significant function. Now I have this option that is enabled on my profile to automatically equip the highest ranked mods once I've collected them, so I don't actually have to visit the station to equip them every time. So maybe that's why I'm not feeling fascinated by it, but personally it just doesn't feel significant. Your gear will increase in power the longer you stick with it, unlike in games like Destiny where you are forced in the early days to scrap certain weapons because they don't hold up to the level of difficulty you're now accustomed to. So the game doesn't necessarily force you to play on its own rules, which I do like. So you've clicked on this video, Warframe, the best free-to-play game, and for half of this video I've been talking about things I don't like about the game. The reason I've done that is to put things in more perspective. All of those things I've just mentioned were probably the worst things I could say about the game. I didn't say anything about microtransactions being slammed down our throats. I didn't say anything about not enough content. I mean, look at all these missions you can play on the planet Mars. And now if we zoom out, there's all these other planets to visit as well. I didn't say anything about any season passes splitting the player base. Warframe has been around since March 2013, and when you look at the footage, you'd be forgiven to think it was a completely different game. And that is the beauty of Digital Extreme's attitude towards their product. Over the last 5 years, we've had this single game evolve in all aspects, and even in the present day, we get new updates and missions that offers new innovative challenges for the player to take on. That's always so much more satisfying to players rather than the, alright, you gave us $20 for the last season, how about you give us another 20, like you have in this game. The point I'm trying to make is that probably the majority of AAA developers and publishers don't have that sort of commitment towards their product for that length of time, unless of course the profits are still spiking. I mean, we were just discussing Warframe's journey from 2013 to present. In that same timeline, Bungie have released Destiny in 2014, it had a season pass, and later on microtransactions to maximise their profits. And with all that money they then put into Destiny 2 in 2017, that looked almost identical, with no new innovative ways to play it. If you love Destiny, that's great, but you get what I'm trying to say. I understand it's a business, but if you don't obsess over your consumer's experience, you will get spat on. Despite that, these big companies do look successful because a good majority of the player base is super casuals, the people who see one trailer and that'll be all they need. They don't keep up with the news, they don't go on the forums, so probably they'll know next to nothing about this said game they buy, aside from that trailer they saw. Like Black Ops 4 for example, it will probably be in the top 3 best selling games of the year. And for those who have been keeping up with the news and hearing about all the bad things that have gone on with it, the possibility of a huge scale development change when the Battle Royale genre started blowing up, and then in a blink of an eye, they trashed the single player, and now instead we're getting this other game mode that a lot of us are getting sick of. And of course the whole season pass model that is going on. It's all these things that just leave a bad taste in my mouth, and I just think to myself, I think I'll pass. But even after all that, we know it will still sell well. The kind of behaviour and community management that the developers of Warframe condition themselves to should be rewarded, and it's a damn shame that it's just being so underlooked by the gaming communities. Sometimes I'm just in the need for a game to show bigger companies more sensible ways to go about business, even if that game gets so big and so mainstream that I start to hate it, like this game.
Welcome back to another Pokey ASMR. Hey! Shut the fuck up!
While I was writing this essay, I was thinking a little bit about, will I come back to Warframe in the near future, particularly after these big games in the fall come out. Obviously at this point in time we are a bit drained out with anticipation with these quiet summer months, so with Warframe I think I'll easily get through the wait no problem. But after talking about how much I enjoy the game, and saying that you should too give it a shot, and then coming to the realization that I probably won't touch it once October hits, it's a little bit of a betrayal, I'm not gonna lie to you. But at least I can advise you, if you are waiting eagerly for these new games coming out, while trying your best to stay off boredom, then try Warframe, it's so self-explanatory, unless of course this isn't your kind of game. I'm happy I've given this game a shot, and I look forward to playing this game some more in the coming weeks and months. Thank you guys for watching the video. You let me know your thoughts on Warframe if you have played it, and if you haven't, tell me what you think the best free-to-play game is, and what makes it so good. Thank you once again guys, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day, I'll catch you soon.